Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Good evening, David. Welcome. We are just awaiting a few more drivers and we shall be getting going. Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to Redline Racing Community and Wednesday night racing, where we are at Spain and the Circuit de Catalunya. Fishers heads into the race this week 4 points ahead of Brandon in the ZNU F1 gamer tag. Now, he was our pole sitter last week with a brilliant race. For any of you that did catch that, that was won by Dan Murphy. So who will win this week? Just a reminder that here at Redline Racing Community we race 5 out or 6 times a week, I believe. 6 days out of 7, sorry, I should say. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube, where we stream all the races live. So here we are then at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona as we head into qualifying 1. As always, it is a standard race procedure. We have 3 periods of qualifying, 18 minutes for Q1, 14 minutes for Q2, and then that all important pole position shootout in qualifying 3. Now, as I said last week, ZNU F1 took that pole position at the Baku. It was a very good race last week, if you were watching. So who do we see come out first? Who makes the first move here today? We shall see. As we already have Indigo retiring from the session. Not quite sure what's going on there, so it'll be interesting, but that now means that we only will lose 4 drivers from this session instead of the usual 5. Remember, last week in Q1 we actually lost 3 or 4 drivers due to incidents. It was a wet qualifying session around a street circuit, so different test today, different tests. So who will be the first person to make their qualifying lap? Now, as I said at the start of the stream, Fishers heads into this race on top of the leaderboard, only 4 points ahead of ZNU F1. We then have Stringy B on 94 points and Evil Hunter on 92. And then rounding out the top 5 is Young Stinson on 63. Now, Young Stinson and Evil Hunter were 2 of those drivers who crashed out in Q1 last week, so it will be interesting to see how they react this week. We see our first cars taken to the track it is both of the racing points. Who will take the first lap? It looks like it will be LPE as he comes around the back straight now into the tight left hairpin. Will ride on board now with the racing points driver. As we see, currently ERS is on 0, so we shall see, trying to get the nice line. We want a wide exit here into the first turn and straight. So here we go then, the first lap of this Wednesday night racing session. We ride on board with LPE. What sort of time can he set as the benchmark, as we see a Ferrari there coming out of the pit lane? So there we go, down into turn 1 and 2. Nice to show. You want to try not to touch too much of that curb on the left hand side, or it will spin you. Try and stick the throttle if you can, coming around this wide turn 3. As we now come down into turn 4, another, you want to come in tight and get a nice wide exit. Clipping the curve if you can. We see LPE is going different here, down into second gear for this left-hander at turn 5, into the chicanes of 6 and 7. Stay nice and wide there, catching the car nicely, coming through turn 8. It's not sticking it. We may see some drives today sticking it gears. DRS comes open for the second time on this lap. Down, as I said, into the tight left-hander. What sort of time will this be? We shall see. Coming now around through the back chicane. Exit, but we come round now. DRS open as we set the first lap time today. It is a 1:19.4. Good lap there from LPE, but we may expect to see those times drop by the end, looking at maybe at the 1:18s. So as we go back to Sergeant Bowie now, who it will be the second driver, we believe, to complete a lap today. He is purple in that second sector. He's faster than his teammate, but by how much? And will he remain in front of his teammate as he crosses the beam? So the back end kicks out a little bit there as he comes around that final bend. DRS opens up into 7th gear and he goes first with a 1:19.1. So already we're close to that sub 1:19 time. Let's see who we can find on another lap, as we see a Haas about to cross the line. That's for a timed lap. So we see going through the field now some of these out laps, as we can see Chris on his start lap today. We've got yellow flags. It's just probably one of the racing points slowing down. As we see now the bunch of the field pretty much all coming out for their timed laps. So let's see. Oh, as LPE has retired from the session. Has he done the unthinkable and hit the wall on the entry to the pit lane? Quite possibly, we don't know. So a 1:19.4 is the time that he has set. And as you can see, he's already, Samuel Wall goes fastest in that bright red Ferrari. Who's that? William van der Shaw crosses the line. A 1:19.5 puts him in P4. Tiach with a 1:19.3 for P3. As we see another Ferrari about to cross the line. He's come to 1:19 time of this session. We see a Red Bull about to come around the corner. It's young Stinson already there, sub 1:18. There we go, 1:17.7 already from young Stinson in that Red Bull Aston Martin. Chris 1:18.2. Very, very quick at the start of this session, but it can only get faster with track evolution. As we see 8 cars setting their lap times already. As we'll jump on board now with GFO Seb coming around to complete his lap. He'll be looking to improve. Obviously last week he's crashed out at Baku, so he will obviously want to improve, or as he dives into the pit lane. He probably had a bad edge there. So still waiting on the championship leader then to come out for his first out lap with half the field now. Remember, we have already lost 2 drivers, LPE and Indigo. LPE did set a lap and seemed to crash on his in lap, so we don't know. And Indigo crashing or retiring at the start, I should say, as GFO Seb retires from the session as well. Willem van der Shaw retiring from the session too. Interesting to see what's going on here. Bear with me. Yes, I've got a message of good luck for Nathan here from Arena, wishing you all the best as you make your debut here in WNR Gold. All the best for you today. Let's go Chris there from David as well. So as we see, most of the drivers are now on their way to coming out of there. That yellow flag's in sector 3 once more, but that's just the racing point. So we ride on board then with Ahmed as he comes around for his outlap in the Alfa Romeo. What sort of time will this be? Current pace so far somewhere between, for the majority of the field, the mid 118s, mid 119s, about a second separating the top 8, and then we have Benny Boy in P9, but that young Stinson lap of 1:17.7 already a big benchmark. As we follow up as he comes now round through turn 3. Does he stick it? Does he stay wide? Yes, he does. Coming into turn 4. Staying wide. He goes purple in sector 1. Oh, and he's a little bit wide there on the entry to the corner. We shall see. Whether he has lost time, we do not know. And that lovely looking Alfa Romeo there. As we see there, our Fisher's in on his outlap. We shall join him shortly, but first we'll wait to see what sort of time Ahmed can set. Remember, this is a 18-minute session. We have already had just under 10 of that. So will we see some of those top order drivers coming back out, or will they be saving their tyres? Remember, in Q1 it doesn't matter what tyres, but usually drivers, oh, as he goes a little bit wide there, Ahmed, it doesn't matter what tyres they use in Q1, but it usually tends to be a softer strategy. Q2 then are the tyres that you tend to go for in your race strategy. Medium and hard preferred by a lot of drivers here around Catalunya, as tyre wear gets a bit heavy in the heat. And then Q3 is all about speed, those in those soft tyres, to get as high up the grid as you can. So we'll jump on board with Fishers now as he comes down into turn 1. How much does he take of the left hand curb? Steers clear. Remember, if you take too much of that, you will spin into the wall. Staying wide now out of turn 3 and coming into turn 4 as he sets a 22.0 in the first sector. So we come round now into turn 5, nice and tight to the curb. Back on the power right, staying a little bit wide. And that silver Mercedes, he comes through 6 and 7. Up into turn 8. Lovely camera angle there. Coming down into the left-hander, he goes a 51.6, so it's still not the fastest sector time, but he looks on for a good lap here. Remember, he didn't have the greatest of qualifying either last week, but he was quick in the race. Shifting down into second gear for the left-right chicane. Opening the power out now. What sort of time will this be from our championship leader today, as he goes P6 with a 1:18.9. So just a quick update then on the top 10 so far. It's Stinson, Energetics, Alien, Samuels, ZNU F1, Fishers. Bui goes faster by a few hundredths of a second. Then Fishers is in P7, P's in 8, Evil Hunter is 9, Benny Boy is 10. Nathan making his first appearance today in P11, Tiach in 12, Ahmed in 13th. And then remember, we have lost a few drivers already. So LPE was one of the first to go and one of the first to set a lap time, so he is currently P14. Willem is 16th, Jim is 17th. Seb and Indigo have both retired without setting a lap time, so it'll be interesting to hear what has gone on there, but they currently are out. So Jim and LH44 currently the two drivers in the drop zone. Ahmed in 14th is also at risk, you may say. So as we see sector flat 2 and 3 as Young Stinson comes back across the line. He goes faster with a 1:17.7. Surely that is him done for this session. So hide on board now with Chris. Another flyer, as is Brandon in that papaya. McLaren coming round the back straight now, opening DRS as you hit speeds of 180 plus. As he goes purple in sector 2, he's 3/10 up on his previous best lap. Will he improve here? Can he gain that second to Young Stinson? Gain that psychological edge, even though it's only Q1. We shall see as we follow him now through the chicanes at the back. Coming round now into the final corner. Will this improve his time? He goes faster and goes into P3 with a 1:18.2. So as we'll go down now on board with Jim. What sort of lap can we expect from Jim? He's currently on a 1:20.1 here. Needs to find at least 6 or 7 attempts to have a chance at making Q2. Straight now towards the start of sector 3. As we come around the final corner now to start this flying lap. Remember, he needs a 1:19.4 to put himself in a good position with just 3 minutes and 38 seconds left in this session here at the beautiful Circuit de Catalunya in Spain. As you come around now out of turn 3 into the looping turn 4, down now through the tight left of turn 5, opening up at 6. As Samuel retires from the session along with ZNUF1, they believe they are safe, and it looks quite likely. So coming through turn, oh, and he loses a little bit there coming out of turn 9. Took in a bit too much speed or curb, but we don't know yet. As he comes around through turns 11 and 12 now, with 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go here in Q1. Avoiding the Ferrari well there. Down through 14 and 15 as we open up the power through turn 16. Where will Jim set his time? It's a 1:19.0. What a lap from Jim there. P12 he goes. So that leaves LH44 with only driver without a time still currently running as he comes now through turn 7 and 8. Sorry, not 7. Yes, it is 7 and 8. My bad. Around turn 9, this is where we saw Jim lose the back end, but we still have the car in a straight line, which is always a good sign. I can only assume that waving means he has decided to back off and will go again. As we see Stringy goes P13 with her flyer. Nathan there in the Red Bull, currently P14 on his outlap. Interesting to see Tiat retire in P15, so again I wonder whether that is a retirement because he's run out of time or if he actually went wide. So riding on board as we see LH with a 1:30 there, but he's probably backed off and will start another lap. So coming round now in this Red Bull Aston Martin, 1 minute 5 seconds to go in this session. These laps will be their last. Who will make it round before the checkered flags drops on Q1 tonight? So riding on board then with Nathan, who makes the jump up from WNR Silver, opening up the DRS now as we come down towards turn 1, hitting speeds in excess of 200 miles an hour. Nice and tight to the curb out of 1 and 2. Staying wide as you come flat out almost through turn 3. Don't want to put too much of your car on the left hand side for risk of invalidations. He goes purple in sector 1. He is a 10th up currently on his previous best. You see coming down now into 5 and 6. Sticking tight to the left hand side and opening up the throttle now as we come around the turn 7 and 8 chicane. Takes a lot of the inside there on 7, as you can see, coming back around now up to turn 9. Some lovely exit there. DRS pops open again on this lap time. It's 195 as we come into the braking zone for turn 10. Nice on the exit. Don't take too much of 11 or you will spin the card, shifting down into 4th gear for turn 12. Now we head towards turn 13, 14 and 15. Nathan currently sitting on the cusp at P15 as he enters turn 15 and 16. Where will he cross the beam? He will be one of the last drivers. He goes to P12, so a slight improvement there with a 119 flat. So with LH still to cross the line, we have unfortunately found the 5 that will leave us here in Q1. Indigo and Seb, for some reason unable to set lap times, retiring very early on in this session. We then have Willem van der Shaw with a 119.5 in P18. LPE, after setting that first flying lap of the session in a 119.4, he is set, as we see young Stinson goes even faster in a Q1 with a 117.4. So we see Benny Boy backing off there. So 17 to the LPE, who seemingly has crashed out, but as I said, we didn't find out. TH once again P16, the same as LPE. Not quite sure what happened there, but he is just a 0.06 of a second from Q2, I should say. So as we see there, we have got the top 15 drivers now progressing onto Q2. This will be, as I said, the session where the drivers will set their strategy going into the race. Will we see some of the top runners setting harder tyre times, or will they go for the most expected strategy of mediums? Don't forget, it will be a Q3 shootout on the soft, so whether you save that extra soft set. As we see here, the final classification for Q1. Young Stinson there with a 117.4, 6/10 ahead of Energetics in the sister car there of the Toro Rosso. Remember, all cars are equal as standard in WNR. So 2 drivers unable to set a time in Seb and Indigo, and then TH, LPE and Willem also out in this session. So as we see, the lap record for this track here at Catalunya is actually a 118.4 from Daniel Ricciardo 2 years ago. So we already have several of these top drivers from that session beating the lap record. Positions 11 to 15. Be interesting to see once again whether there will be any rain forecast for this race, as last week we had a wet qualifying but a dry race. As we see iFishers as we see 3 drivers already on their way out and another Ferrari there. So LH44 takes the first foray onto the track in this session. So P1s to 10 will maintain their tyres going into the race for the start. P11 to 15 will have free rein. Will we see some soft times in those top 10, or will it be the mediums as expected for race strategy? It's up to the drivers. To come now into turn 11 on board with LH44. The circuit here in Barcelona, 2.8 miles long as you come around this lap, 16 turns. So here we go then, on board with LH44 for the first lap of this session. So go down into turn 1s and 2. A little bit of the curb there on the left hand side, but not enough to cause him to spin, sticking wide on the exit of turn 3. As we come now down into Repsol and turn 4. Up now towards the fast right hand at turn 9 at the top of the hill here, sticking as close as you can to that curb without letting your back end kick out, approaching La Cux, and now here at turn 10, tight left hand second gear mostly you will use up the hill into turn 11, clipping the bollard there. We can see 11 and 12 up to Europe car here at turn 13. What sort of time will this be from LH44? So already, as I mentioned, he is on the softer tyres. So with a 1:19 flat, that is the benchmark for this session. As we ride on board now with a... oh, there's a Toro Rosso going slow. It's Energetics who is in the wall there. Oh, he must have lost it coming off the exit, as we see the Ferrari for total Ps with a 1:19.1 goes into P2. As we see another car, it is the Mercedes of Stringy. He goes onto a flyer, and Energetics crosses the line with that spin. So coming down the grid then, we jump on board with Samuel coming down into the left right chicane of 14 and 15. Open the power as we now come around, and it is a 1:19.4 on those medium tyres. So already we can see 3 different compounds have been used to set a time this session, as Brandon goes P1 with a 1:18.8 on those mediums. So it is currently a 1-2 for the McLarens, followed by a 3-4 in those Ferraris. Benny on the softs goes P5, and Energetics, who had that spin coming out of 16, is on the harder tyres. So we'll jump on board now with Stringy, who is on the hard wall tyres, just like Energetics, coming through 11 and 12, sticking close to the curb. Ooh, a little bit too close as he backs out of the lap there. Who is also on their flyer. Nathan is coming through turns 11 and 12 now, a bit wide on the entry towards turn 12. Again, probably just backing out of that lap time. As we see 4 drivers still in the pits. A couple of outlaps being set now, including our top driver from Q1, Young Stinson. Remember, he set that 1:17.4. So he's on the medium wall tyres now, and it'll be interesting to see how fast he can go. So as we now have 8 times set in this session, over half the drivers, 9 minutes and 26 seconds to go. So we'll jump on board now with coming out of the pit there of Evil Hunter, who is coming around the final corners. We see Jim in the yellow and the black Renault there, coming around to set his first lap of qualifying 2. Down then in towards turn 1 and turn 2. It was an interesting strategy last week from Jim in the Renault. It was raining, as I said, in Baku at the Q1. Most drivers going for the intermediate tyres, but Jim made the call for softs. So he goes for the softs again today, but this time he is in Q2. Oh, as the back end steps out on him there. Big time coming out of turn 5. We come now through turn 7 and 8 up the hill towards that right hander at turn 9, opening the DRS. You see Ahmed just behind him there on the medium tyres as Jim sets a purple sector 2. Track evolution seemingly coming into play as we have had half the session already. Coming down now through 14 and 15. 1:18.8 the current top time. Oh, big tank slapper there. Managed to catch it as well, but has he hindered Ahmed's lap? We shall see as Ahmed goes P5 and Jim goes in towards P7. So there we are. We have to have young Stinson on those medium tyres, as I said. One to watch out for. 1:18.5. Will he make another attempt around this track in this session? So we'll jump on board now with the racing point of such who has invalidated his lap apparently. So on board then with Evil Hunter coming around turn 9, hitting 192 as he hits the braking zone in towards 10, up the hill towards turn 11, clipping the left hand curb, staying nice and tight to that right hand curb, shifting down into 3rd gear, up again to 14 and 15, down into 2nd. Where does he open the throttle? Oh, a slight kick there from the rears coming out of 16. What sort of time will this be from Evil? It is only good enough for P9 so far, but we will expect to see him coming back out again. So we see, oh, Ahmed has been given a 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking. That will be very interesting as we see Chris behind him entering the pits. No, it's not Chris that is there. Who is that? That must have been the Renault of Jim. So a 5-place grid penalty there for Ahmed. As we said, if he makes it into Q3, that will be better for him than if he goes out in Q2, but we shall see as Jim is on board for another lap in this session, currently sitting in P12. Benny Boy on the cusp in P10 with a 1:19.5. As we wait to see Jim. Where is Jim? Ah, he has spun, so Jim has lost it there coming in to Repsol. Not to be good for his confidence. So we're on board now with Sergeant Bowie coming around. Is he on another flight or is he coming into the pits? Currently sitting in P2 on the softer tyres. 5 minutes to go then in this session. We are currently losing Stringy, Jim, Energetics, and Nathan on his debut, and Chris, who is yet to set a time, as we see him warming up those tyres on the Haas car. Coming around now through turn 15 and 16 on the power now as we come down the first straight, crossing the line then to start his flying lap into the first big braking zone of turn 1. as young Stinson goes even faster with a 1:17.9. I did ask would he go again, he did, and he goes even faster, a sub 1:18 on those medium tyres. So I Fishers are retiring from the session, currently in P6. You see Stringy leaving the pits, Jim going around for another flyer. That's Energetics that has just gone into P2 in that Toro Rosso with a 1:18.3. Some very, very quick times here today. Who will be making that top 10 shootout? Chris then, as we said, coming around 11 and 12, yet to set a lap this session, a 51.6 in that second sector, down through 14 and 15 we go. Left, right, opening up the throttle, don't lose that back end as we come around now into the DRS zone, and Chris goes P3 with a 1:18.6. McLaren there of ZNUF1 coming out for another flyer. Samuel then in the Ferrari coming around the final sector, currently a 10th down on his lap time. Will he go again? We shall see. No, he shall not. Looks like he's backing off. P's 2/10 up on his current best time, coming round to cross the line then. Where does he go? He moves himself up into P5. Is that going to be enough with a 1:18.7? I Fishers then on the cusp now in P10, retiring on that 1:19.1, unaware what's happened. As we go on board now with Benny coming through turn 7 and 8. Lovely camera angle there to see the cars shift left and right through turn 9. Opening the DRS as you hit speeds of 190 miles an hour, braking at the 100-meter board, shifting down into second gear, opening up that throttle then, but don't take too much of that left hand curb. Touching the grass a little bit there on the right hand side, but keeping that car going forward, that is the main thing. Shifting down then into 14 and 15. He is currently in P13. Will he improve on his time? He goes P11, so unfortunately, unless he has any more fuel, will that be Benny Boy's last lap of this qualifying session? Ahmed and Jim still in the pits. Will they have enough time to get round the track? I don't think so. Evil Hunter on his out lap then. He should have plenty of time to get round. So we will stay on board then with this Williams currently in P13, opting for the softer tyres to push him up into the top 10. Currently at risk is I Fishers with a 1:19.1. Oh, a little bit of grass caught there on the left hand side as he comes down this magnificently long straight into turn 1. 50 seconds left of the session. Anyone not on a lap or approaching lap now will be in trouble as we come out of turn 3 in towards Repsol. Lovely a wide exit there as he comes down into turns 5 and 6. Nathan retiring from P3 on those softer tyres. Energetics P2. Will they be safe? I should think so, but we are currently on board with Evil Hunter in P14, looking to improve on his time of a 1:19.2. Approaching the hill, turn 9, he stays right, opens the car left, opens that DRS, goes purple, sector 8/10 up on his time. Can he keep this momentum coming through sector 3 as we see the checkered flag for Q2? Young Stinson currently the fastest driver. Stringy and Evil Hunter still out on their laps. Ahmed, Benny Boy out of the session. Jim retired, out. So 2 cars left to decide who goes through into qualifying 3 as Evil Hunter crumbs across the line and goes P2 with a 1:18.0 on those softer compound tyres. We will now jump on board with Stringy, who has cut his and backed off his lap there. So that is it. Samuel is safe, but will he try and improve? He is 2 tenths up on his best time currently. Remember, Ahmed has that 5-place grid penalty, so he will be starting P19 for the race. We shall see whether he can recover during the race later on. So here we are then, Samuel losing the rear out of turn 10 there. As we approach Q3, what will the drivers be thinking? Who can go fast? We will be 10 or so minutes away from finding out pole position, as we are just waiting on one car to end the session. So the drivers we are losing then are Fishers in the Mercedes, our championship leader, out in Q2. Benny Boy in the Haas. Stringy is there as well. Ahmed P14 and Jim is P15. We shall see how they do in a race, but there is your top 10 for Catalunya this afternoon. 4 drivers on the softer tyre strategy for the race beginning, and 6 of them on the mediums. Will we see the softer drivers go onto the hards, or will they go medium soft? It remains to be seen, but for now we are coming down towards qualifying 3 and the pole position shootout. Who are your monies on today? Sorry, who is your money on today? So here we go then, 12 minutes to gain all important track position. 10 cars, 1 objective, pole position. Nathan, in his first race here after being promoted from silver, makes Q3. We have last week's pole sitter Brandon in that ZNU F1 McLaren car. He is here. Young Stinson, after going out in Q1 alongside Evil Hunter in Baku, they both make Q3. Where will we go? Who will be first on track? It looks like it is Energetics. It is. Let Alien go through. Remember, the drag here from that first straight can be brilliant at improving your lap time. Will we see these drivers making 2 or 3 attempts at their lap time? How quickly can you get your car around these 2.8 miles of Spanish tarmac? So here we go then, as Alien Chris, I should call him, comes around turn 16 towards this first straight. DRS pops open as we see these drivers setting their first laps of Q3. 10 minutes to go. Lovely sporting pumpkin helmet there from Chris as he comes around now turn 3. Sticking that Haas as wide as he can go on the exit of turn 3. 22 flat through that first sector as we approach coming out of Repsol into turn 5. Shifting up into third gear on the exit. Oh, a little slide there as we come in to 7 and 8 now. up the hill towards that right hander at turn 9, 90 degrees almost as you flick that car and high speed. Ferrari behind there taking a much wider line on the exit. Chris coming up now through turn 11 and 12. Oh, little kick there from the car, not liking that one bit as we come into 14 and 15. How wide will he go on the exit of 16? He stays tight to the tarmac and opens up the throttle to cross the line with a 1 minute 18.1. Already we are close to those 1 minute 17. Samuel 3/10 down in 1:18.4, who is approaching the line as we see Brandon going into P2 as Energetics already 1:17.8. How close will we get to a 1:16? 5 drivers already setting lap times then. Total P's going through into P3 with a 1:18.2. Young Stinson 1:17.334. What a benchmark. 5/10 clear already of the next closest car. 2 drivers then still in the pits, LH44 and Evil Hunter. Sergeant Bowie coming around turn 12 and 13 now, approaching the chicane of 14 and 15. Left, right, almost full lock on the steering wheel. Either way, coming out now of 16 on to the home straight. DRS flicks open. Where does Bowie go? It is P3. So the top 3 all sub 118s so far. Very interesting to see whether they can improve even faster times here in Spain, as we see most of the drivers returning back to the pits already. Will some of these drivers take 2 or 3 laps? As Samuel goes around again, what sort of time can he get? Will stay on board with the Ferrari driver then, braking at the 50-meter board, almost taking the curb on turn 1 and 2. How does he stick the throttle through turn 3? He stays close and widens his car. But don't go too far over that white line or you will invalidate your line. Coming through Repsol now and turn 4. As wide as you can get on the exit before you come down into the tight left of turn 5. Samuel opting to stay in 3rd gear, where we have seen drivers go into 2nd gear, up through the chicane of 7 and 8 now. Lovely, nice, crisp line there. How does he take turn 9? Takes a lot of the curb, but does very well in keeping that car straight. Shifting now down into turn 10 as he goes purple, sector 2. Is that track evolution coming into play for most of the drivers? A lot of curb there taken from Sam as he goes over turn 11. And coming around now to turn 13. Staying in 4th gear and shifting down into 2nd for 14 and 15. Bouncing off it, or as he decides to box this lap. So 5 minutes and 55 seconds to go. 8 drivers have set lap times. Currently we have young Stinson on a provisional pole with that 1:17.3. Energetics is 5/10 behind. A further 10th behind you'll find Sergeant Bowie in the racing point. Chris is in 4th, P's in 5. ZNUF1 is in P6. Remember, he was our pole sitter last week, as I said. Can he go faster, pull another lap out the bag? We shall see. Samuel in the Ferrari, P7. Nathan on debut, P8. And we are awaiting LH44 and Evil Hunter to make their first forays onto the timesheets. So as we said then, this race here at Catalunya has 16 turns and is 2.875 miles long. We've been racing here in Formula 1 since its inception in 1991. So how many of these drivers will we see conquer it by the end of the race today? Just over 4.5 minutes left of qualifying 3 here tonight. will be the next driver to make an attempt for a lap time. Remember, we don't have our championship leader I Fishers in this session. He only managed P11 in his Mercedes, setting a lap time on those medium tyres, but unfortunately retiring. We do not know what had gone on there, but one can assume it was not great for him. So 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Young Stinson in that Red Bull 1:17.3, as we see mechanics there just behind the timesheets for a car. Who is that? It looks like it's a Haas, and Chris first out onto the track in this session and first of the second run. Can he go faster than his 1:18.1? We've already, as you can see, seen 3 times under 1 minute and 18 seconds, all of which are faster than the actual lap record set here by Daniel Ricciardo in 2018. That was a 1:18.4. Samuel missing out on beating that time by just 9 hundredths of a second, I should say, or less than that actually. 13 hundredths of a second. As we see 3 drivers now approaching their out laps. So one of those is Kyle, who is yet to set a lap. So riding on board then with Chris as he comes around turn 15 into 16 then. For the last time his session, he starts that Haas car down in towards turn 1. Will we see many overtakes there later? One of the more popular sectors on this circuit, down into 3rd gear. Left and right he goes. Right out of 3. Coming round now into turn 5 and 6. How is his sector 2 time looking? Oh, as we have a car off just behind, it is a Red Bull coming now towards sector 2. Five tenths up on his time, so it's looking like another 1 sub 1 minute 18. Oh, as he goes and loses it into the wall. He must have taken too much curb. I did warn and say, if you take too much of that curb, as the Ferrari goes wide as well, you take too much of that curb and that is what will happen to you. You will lose the car. That could be both of their sessions over. We shall wait and see. Drama here, and we've not even hit the race. Chris there in the gravel still. 30 seconds left of the session as a Red Bull comes around now. 20 seconds to cross the line and start your final flying lap of this Catalunya Grand Prix qualifier session. As we see Kyle coming out of sector 2, he goes purple. Remember, he's not set a time yet. To ride on board now, coming out of turn 13. He is looking nice and clean to shift left through 14, right through 15. A lot of curb taken on the exit of 15 into 16. He crosses the line and puts that Williams in P5. So 3 drivers already settled, 3, 4 and 5 so far. Can they be overtaken by the below 7 drivers? Remember, LH still yet to set a time in this session. As we go on board now with Nathan coming down the back straight in towards turn 10, 6th tenth down already on his fastest time of the session. Will he back out of the lap? Will we see that Red Bull dive into the pit lane? comes around now through the chicane at 14 and 15. Lovely helicopter shot there as we see the car flick right through turn 16. He managed a 1:19.1, so he exceeds his time as we see the car of Brandon go up into P2. So young Stinson currently on pole with only 2 cars left to beat him, 1 car left to beat him. Young Stinson then is our pole sitter as he goes possibly even faster. But young Stinson in the Red Bull on pole position for this Catalunya Grand Prix. What a lap that was from him. 1:17.3, so even faster as we see Brandon take P2 in a 1:17.6. Energetics rounds out the top 3, 1:17.8. Bowie 1:17.964. Then Pease rounds out the top 5. Chris, after stat spin out of turn 11, finds P6. Evil Hunter P7. Samuel P8. LH only managed P9 with his first flying lap, and on debut Nathan makes P10. So there you have it, the starting grid for the Spanish Grand Prix at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya is set. Here in Redline Racing Communities Gold WNR. Remember, the structure of WNR is a full grid for the gold division, and the silver division is only 10 drivers, 1 per team. All points are combined for constructors, and we have separate drivers championships. So as I said, Fishers, our championship leader, is in P11. Young Stinson on pole position. ZNUF1 P2 starts P2. 4 points the difference at that top of that championship. As we now come onto the grid and the formation lap. Interesting to look for the tyre choice of Fishers in that Mercedes. Remember, he has free choice as he finished outside the top 10. Another driver to watch out for, Seb in the Renault, going out in Q1 without even setting a lap. He will be looking to burst his way through the field. As we see the cars line up then on the grid as they start the formation lap. Remember, you want your tyres as warm as they can be. Such a heavy braking zone off the straight into turn 1. If those brakes are cold or those tyres are not up to temp, you will not make the corner as anticipated. Excuse me. So just a look at the tyre strategies then. Remember, 4 of the top 10 were on softs as they progressed from Q2. So that is Bowie in 4th, Evil Hunter in P7, and then LH and Nathan in Ps 9 and 10 respectively. There we go, Fishers on the harder tyres in P11. Possibly a hard medium. He will be looking for strategy wise. Stringy, his teammate, taking the hards as well. Seb, harder tyres. Tiach, harder tyres. The rest are all on mediums. So we will see a lot of split strategies today. Who's your money on? I can't decide. It is going to be a very good race if anything like last week was to go by. Incidents, safety cars, VSCs. It was very interesting. Remember to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We also stream all our races live on our YouTube channel. You are currently watching the WNR Gold Division as they race round Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona, for round 17 of WNR. 33 laps then as we come now towards the starting grid. Young Stinson in that Red Bull on pole. Our pole sitter from last week in the McLaren in P2 for ZNUF1. Energetics P3, Bowie P4. Will there be a move made in towards turn 1? We shall see as we now approach the grid. Who has managed to get their tyres ready and ready to go? Indigo. As we come towards now the back of the grid. There will be 5 red lights before we are racing. As here comes Indigo into his box. There we go then, all 20 cars now in position as the red lights appear on screen. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 red lights. And we are racing here in Catalunya for WNR. Young Stinson in P1 gets a good start as we see it's a few cars touching. Oh, and some wings lost at the back there, but we ride on board our pole sitter. Runs into turn 1. The Red Bull getting through cleanly there as we see a Toro Rosso of Energetics making a move. Willem van der Shaw already given a 5-second penalty for a collision with Stringy. Let's see how everyone managed to get around there. Did they all make it through cleanly? It looked like they did, as we saw a end plate seem to fly off a Renault already off the starting grid. So will we see a VSC already? How long did that take? How are the major movers already then? As we are back up to racing speed. LH44 up to P6 then in that McLaren car. Right on board in now with young Stinson coming around turn 9 through the hill. Remember, DRS doesn't activate until left. Oh, as we see a car go really wide there coming out of turn 9. It looks like it was the Ferrari of Total Ps. Oh, as he goes side by side with the Racing Point through turn 10. Oh, and is LH going to make a move? Oh, he's forced wide. Oh, he just managed to keep control of the car as he comes around into turn 12 through the chicane then of turn 14 and 15, with on board now with LH44 Evil Hunter just 5 tenths behind as young Stinson crosses the line now to start lap 2 of this 33 lap Grand Prix. Already 2 cars in the pit lane in Chris and LPE, but we, as you can see there, already several other drivers in the pit lane. 6 drivers already pitting after lap 1. Apologies for, as we see Nathan making a move on Samuel up to P8 from P10. Our biggest mover so far then is Indigo. He's in the pit lane, so on track it's currently LH44. 4 tenths the gap between our race leader and pole sitter young Stinson. Energetics all over the gearbox of ZNU F1. Will he make a move coming out of turn 9? We will start on board. Both cars nice and tight there through turn 8. Here we go then, turn 9. Will he be able to use the slipstream as we approach the heavy braking zone of turn 10? As he cannot, he is too far back. So a second now, the gap between our race leader and P2. Already out of DRS range. So we'll stay on board now with Energetics as we approach turns 13, 14 and 15. Keeping it nice and tight through the chicane there. Don't want to lose the car or you will find yourself losing several time. Onto the back straight then as young Stinson pulls out now a 1.5 seconds on P2. Energetics, will he be able to make a move into turn 1? It doesn't look like it just yet. Oh, dearie me, as DRS is now open for lap 3. So as we ride down the grid then, Evil Hunter currently P7, still on those harder, those used soft tyres, sorry. As we go down to those 6 drivers there, you can see that I've already stopped on this lap. What compound have they gone for? Hards, mediums, as we see Seb going down the inside of LPE. Oh, he squeezes him there, but he just sticks that Renault around the outside, which turns into the inside for turn 3. So see Indigo on the harder tyres as Fishers retires from the session. What has gone on there? There he is. He's lost it coming out of turn 9 and has hit the wall. Our championship leader is out of this race. So if ZNU F1 can finish in the points today, he will take the championship lead. As another VFC, that is our second one in just 3 laps. Now if you take too much of that curb on the inside of turn 9, then you will be catapulted. As Evil Hunter pits then under this VSC, what tyre choice will he go for? He's currently on those old softs from Q2, if you remember. He puts on the yellow wool medium tyres. So VSC, your current leader is young Stinson, who has pulled out a 2-second gap to P2. It's then 3 tenths behind, where we see this battle of the 3 cars. Pease now just, as Pease looks towards the inside of Energetics, but just a bit far back. Remember, DRS is enabled once again, so we will see Energetics and Pease both within DRS of each other. As you see it pop open, he hasn't popped it open. Interesting there from Pease to not open his DRS. They remain behind ZNUF1 for now. Stinson, your leader then, already you can see that gap, 3 seconds now. So we stay on board with this battle for P2 then. 3/10 the gap to Energetics, 2/10 further back is Pease. Sergeant Bowie in P5 making headway as well, 10th through that second sector. So here we go then, DRS for Energetics and Pease. Once again, Pease does not use his DRS, whether it is broken, as Nathan makes a move on Samuel and LH44 has pitted. So we can see there Energetics has got past ZNUF1 and now takes P2. 3 seconds to catch the sister car of the Red Bull. So it's interesting to wonder whether Pease has a problem with his DRS then. That's 2 zones where he could have used it but didn't. Bowie closing that gap is now almost a second behind Pease, as GFO Seb goes fastest around this circuit as he moves up to P14, coming around Chris in the Haas. LH44 slots into P13 after pitting. So remember, we have already lost the championship leader I Fishers, crashing coming out of turn 9. Be interesting to see whether it was him that lost it or there was contact. We were riding on board with Seb at the time. Lap 5 of 33, young Stinson, P1 so far. As we go down back towards this battle now, as Pease is approaching ZNUF1, still no DRS. As Energetics starts to pull away now, gap over a second to that third place McLaren. Pease then following around as they come out of turn 3 on the right. A bit wide there from the Ferrari as they approach Repsol. We have sector 3 yellow flags. What is that for? As we see Nathan pits and comes out on those medium tyres. Softs only lasting about 5 laps. It'll be interesting to see if Bowie makes a dive into the pit lane at the end of this lap. How much can he get out of those tyres? So back on board then with this battle for P3. Energetics in the Toro Rosso now pulling away from ZNUF1. 4.72, sorry, 4.45 the gap. Pits for mediums. So we'll stay on board with this battle for now. This is for P8. Remember, 4/10 the gap between the Haas and the Mercedes. We'll jump on board now with Benny. This is his angle. Coming up into turn 9, DRS open as of now. Stringy also within DRS. Oh no, he's not within DRS of Jim. So Tiach, the partner, Red Bull Toro Rosso, rounding out the points currently in P10. So Kyle is now 8.6 seconds as we have a yellow flag in sector 2 and Seb has hit the wall. Another car has gone into the wall coming out of turn 9 and the third VSC is out. Already 2 cars gone within the first third of this Grand Prix. Will anyone make the move? Yes, Bowie has gone into the pits. He's got rid of those soft tyres and is now on the mediums. How far can they get him into this race? Quite possibly it looks like it will be a 2-stop strategy for those that started on the softer tyres. So 5 seconds a gap now at the top of this race. Young Stinson, our pole sitter, 5 seconds ahead of Energetics in P2. Pease is currently the third. So he has got past Brandon then. He has got past Brandon and is up into P3. A Ferrari of Samuel now all over the back of that McLaren. We'll ride on board now with Samuel, qualified in P8. Just over a second the gap between him and that McLaren. Has he got DRS? Doesn't look like it this lap at least. Yeah, possibly getting the slipstream as LH44 leaves the session. Quite possibly a connectivity issue there for him, we shall see. As Indigo makes a move on Chris, who has possibly gone wide considering the gap. And there we have it, Stringy makes a move back past Benny Boy, using DRS into turn 1. As we see gaps starting to make themselves now between the fields, no cars really close. As to the leader we see as Ahmed has retired from the session. He looks like he has gone off at sector 3. What has gone on there? We jump on board with Stinson. Do we see the Alfa Romeo? There we do see the Alfa Romeo in the wall at turn 14. So lap 9 we have our third retirement of this Grand Prix as young Stinson's come round towards start lap 10. 5 seconds the gap to Energetics in P2. P is rounding out the top 3 so far. Two seconds the gap now to the McLaren. Jim currently P5 in that Renault. Stringy, Benny still as close as ever. Will Benny be able to make a move coming down into turn 1? He's just too far back at this moment in time. As we see Samuel in the pits for those harder compound tyres. Willem now all over the back of LPE for P16. Remember, is he going to be close enough to make a move into turn 1? No, he is not. We'll go back on board now with, as we have a yellow flag in sector 1. Oh, and we were just on board with Willem and he has gone into the wall coming out of turn 1. As you can see, massive damage there to his front wing. He will need to pit for a new one. He's behind LPE in the battle for P16 as they approached turn 1. And out of turn 2, LPE is 14 seconds clear of Willem. So we come back up in order now, as we have just over 2 seconds separating Stringy in 6th and Tiach in P8. Remember, Tiach and Stringy starting on the harder compound of tyre compared to Benny Boy, who is on the mediums, all 10 lap old and all yet to pit. In fact, all the top 8 yet to pit, as Indigo goes fastest with a 121.1 on those hard compound tyres. Can he get those to the end? We shall see. As we go back on board with following Benny now, a little bit wide coming out of 5 there. All building up to a potential move coming out of turn 9. Ever so slightly catching Jim this battle. Be interesting to see if they do catch him before any pit stops are made. The DRS open now for Benny. 7/10 to close. He's just too far back so far. ZNUF1 closing the gap then. It was 2 seconds. He's gained 7/10 this lap on P's for P3. So we're right on board then. Is he going to be close enough for the slipstream? Remember, ZNUF1 is P2 in our championship. We have lost our championship leader, I Fishers, on lap 2, hitting the wall at turn 9. GFO Seb swiftly following suit A few laps later, again losing his car at the top of turn 9. And Ahmed retiring on turn 14. So 17 cars still left in this Grand Prix. 20 laps to go almost. Young Stinson P1, 6.5 seconds the gap to Energetics in P2. He was 6/10 quicker for his pole position lap, was Stinson, and he's already showing his class around the circuit, 6/10 in just 12 laps. So this top 3 battle has pulled away from Jim, who is currently in P5, coming down now into turn 10. A little bit of a rev there on the gearbox as we come through turn 11. Opting not to take too much of the curb on the left hand side, but sticking nice through turns 13. And here we go into as Pease and Brandon both dive into the pit lane. So the first of our top runners to make a stop. What is the strategy? We see it's hards for Pease. What is it for the McLaren? Will it be hards? Will it be soft? It's hards as well. So they're looking to get those harder tyres towards the end of the Grand Prix. 20 laps is what they need to last. As we see, Bowie makes his way up into P7 after pitting earlier. So top 6 all still to pit, all 12 lap tyre ages. 7.5 seconds the gap now between Young Stinson in P1 and Energetics in P2. We'll ride on board then with our race leader. Does he make a dive into the pit lane? We shall see. We've already seen some of the top runners, Pease and ZNU F1, pitting from 3rd and 4th. They find themselves 9th and 10th. Has Stinson created a gap to potentially pit? He does, as expected. He does dive into the pit lane. Will we see Energetics follow suit? No, so Energetics stayed out. So he's trying the overcut here to see if it works. What about Jim? Is Jim going to make a pit stop, or will Jim? Oh, there's a bit of a no. So Jim pit as well. Remember, Stringy's on those harder tyres, so he can afford to stay out longer. Benny Boy now in DRS territory. DRS up to 5. Stringy pulls left. Oh, it's a tight squeeze, but he puts it down the outside of that Mercedes. Can he stick it into turn 1? Yes, he can. So then, Benny Boy moves up into P3 at the moment. But remember, we have got... Oh, Samuel looks like he's gone wide in sector 3. So here we are on board with newcomer Nathan and the battle with Indigo. Nathan after pitting on those 8-lap old softs. Indigo pitting during the first VSC for those harder compound tyres as we come around Repsol down towards turn 5. Is there a late lunge? There is not. Oh, and there's contact. There's contact as Indigo luckily managed to keep his car on track. It looked very audacious, but only he will know what is going on there. And ever closer they become to LH44 as they approach the DRS zone now. Lovely shot of... Oh, it's Indigo! Indigo goes into the wall! Oh my word, Indigo! Our 4th retirement, our 3rd at turn 9. That stricken Williams there, you saw it as we were riding on board with Nathan. He almost took too much speed around that corner, and we have a safety car. Game changer. What will this do? Benny pits, but is given a 5-second penalty. Wow, oh wow, oh well. Safety car just under halfway through this Grand Prix. Another speeding penalty, this time for Evil Hunter. What would you be thinking if you were Stinson? He pitted a lap earlier than his rival Energetics to try and make the strategy stick. Another set of mediums for the final stretch on softs. But this safety car throws that strategy out the window. If all the other cars pit as expected, you can see there already 5 cars in the pit lane. So lap 15 of 33, and Indigo has caused our first safety car of the race, losing his car coming out of turn 9 and going off into the gravel and respectively the wall. So your top three currently are Energetics, Stinson and Stringy. TH is P4 after pitting P's and ZNU F1 5 and 6. Benny P7. Jim finds himself in P8. Sergeant Bowie P9 and Evil Hunter after pitting is P10. Behind him LH and Nathan, who were battling with Indigo when we saw that crash, are P11 and 12. Chris opting for a soft tyre compound is P13. Samuel P14 and we have LPE and Willem in at 15 and 16. We have lost 4 drivers. Indigo, who has caused this safety car, Ahmed, who retired in turn 14, and Seb and Fishers, the first 2 victims of turn 9. As we see young Stinson pitting for the harder tyre. So I did say, what would he be thinking? So he has obviously seen a chance to go to the end of the race on the harder tyres. Energetics pitting also. So this has been brilliant for Energetics. He was 7.5 seconds behind Stinson before Stinson pitted on lap 13. Lap 14 we had a incident where it has brought up the safety car. So Energetics is now 3 positions ahead of young Stinson. In between them, the battle of P's and ZNU F1. Remember, they pitted at the same time, so their tyres are identical in terms of life and wear potentially. Benny Boy P5 managed to stay ahead of Stringy, but Stringy started on the hard compound, so is able to switch into those mediums. Jim in at P7, but he will be watching for TH on the restart. It is much harder to get the tyre temperatures back in those harder compounds compared to the softer ones. Bowie is P9, Evil Hunter 10, and as I said, they are your points scorers so far, as we can probably expect another lap of the safety car considering the gap between the back of the field. So we'll stay on board with Energetic as he comes around the final corner. Bert Mylander on track for the first time today. As we take this safety car opportunity to catch our breath after Indigo has hit the wall at turn 9. The third car to lose it there today. As we take this moment as well to have a look at the WNR Silver Division. Remember, there is only 10 runners in that category, as we have a combined constructors standing here with the Gold Division. So currently in the Williams we have Reina leading that Grand Prix. The real DC is second for Renault, and Apex is in P3 for the Toro Rosso. As we see, Nathan has hit Chris, although Chris looks like he has hit Nathan, and they're both been given a time penalty. It'll be interesting to see what has happened there. So lap 17 of 33, we are behind the safety car as the safety car comes in this lap. So it is now down to Energetics. How does he approach his restart? Remember, it is such a long turn 1. You go too early and you don't have the temperature, you go too late and the cars behind will be in your slipstream. Look out for Stinson in P4, look out for ZNU F1 in 3, look out for P in P2 as we come around now towards turns 13, 14 and 15. For lap 18 of this Grand Prix, does Energetics put the foot down? Yes, he does, but Pease is right in his gearbox. Does Pease make a move? He comes to the inside of the Toro Rosso and seemingly has the move done before they even hit us. So total P's starting P5 is up into P1 after the safety car restart. Young Stinson all over the back of the McLaren. The slipstream so effective here down that back straight of Catalunya. As we see Tiach coming around. Oh, he dives down the inside of Jim and leaves just enough room. Does Jim have him on the exit though? Remember, Tiach has those softer tyres. As we approach now turn 7 and 8, there is Bowie in the background. It goes around the outside. Oh, it's close going into turn 9, but it's gentle racing there. As they leave each other enough room, they all make it through safely. So Tiach is lost a position to Sergeant Bowie. Remember, he dived down the inside of Jim at turn 5. As we see, Energetics is in the wall. Energetics, our race leader, who lost P1 at the safety car, has collided with a back marker and finds himself in the wall as we have another yellow flag in sector 3. That has got to be one of the worst safety car restarts he could have imagined. So your new top 3 are P's, ZNU F1 and Stinson. As the Alfa Romeo of Willem pits. Well, as Nathan seemingly losing positions, what has happened there? Oh, as we have Chris dropping behind. So P's then in the lead of this Grand Prix. The gap now 1.3 down to 1.2 to ZNU F1 in P2. Young Stinson 3. Benny Boy 4. Stringy only 2/10 back on Benny Boy. Will he make a move into turn 10? No, he sets himself looking to possibly set the move up down the back straight. As we have the potential here for 2 moves. The battle for P2 though is what we will stay with as we come through the chicane at 14 and 15. Young Stinson's tyres 3 laps younger than the McLaren in front of him. Here we go then, coming through the first straight. Remember, DRS not enabled until now because of the safety car. The Red Bull driver pulls right and he has the inside for turn 1 and he is safely through. And we jump back. Has Stringy been able to make the move? No, he has not. But how good will his drive be coming out of turn 3? Will he be able to make a move down into Repsol? No, he cannot. Tiach is back up past Bowie for P7. And look at this battle forming now for one of the final points paying positions. 4 cars fighting for that P9. Only a little bit up the road is the P8 Racing Point of Sergeant Bowie. As in the silver division, it is Rayner in the Williams who has taken the victory. He has taken victory for the Williams. Then DC has come through in second and Apex takes the final points paying position on that podium. Oh no, Gavlar has taken there in the Racing Point. So they are your top 3 for that race, your top 3 for this race in the gold division. Total P's in P1 in the Ferrari, Young Stinson there with DRS in P2. And the McLaren of ZNU F1 in P3. Stringy gets around the outside of Benny Boy into turn 1 for P4. Very, very close battling on this track, lap 21 of 33. As we see, there's a Haas in the pit lane. It's Chris as he puts on those medium and changing his front wing. Here is Energetics then, unfortunate to collide with the Alfa Romeo on the exit of turn 11. So the gap now 2/10 of a second, 3/10 of a second as they approach turn 9. Will Stinson be close enough to make a move? We shall see. DRS opens for the Dutch driver as he dives down the inside of turn 10. but they leave enough room there for Pease to come back around the outside into turn 12. Very close battling here for the top step on that podium. Stinson starting on pole, Pease starting P5. Here we go then, coming out of 14 and 15 on to the final straight. Young Stinson 5 tenths there, the gap, but DRS opens up on the Red Bull Aston Martin. The Scarlet Ferrari pulls right, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough as we see, oh, and he just backs out, making a move there. So we come through turns 1 and 2, flinging the car left and right as you come out of the exit of turn 3. Is he close enough to make a move into Repsol? The gap 2 tenths of a second. Oh, as we see, young Stinson spinning around. Wow. That has dropped him to P12. Wow. What happened there? We were on board with them as they approached Repsol, and young Stinson was 2 tenths behind coming out of Repsol, and Total Pease is still in P1, but Stinson has dropped to P12. Wow, more drama if we didn't need it already. So that puts Brandon in the McLaren into P2. Stringy, what a great race from him so far. He finds himself in P3, closing in on that Papaya. Oh, as he takes a lot of curb there on the exit of turn 15. Is he within DRS? He is, with that ERS pumped up to overtake. Is he close enough to make a move down into turn 1? It doesn't look like it yet, but watch out for the exit of turn 9. It's possible he can get him there. He has dropped Benny Boy now 2 seconds in the gap between the podium positions. Jim in at P5, Tiach right behind him in at P6. On the softer compounded tyre, remains to be seen whether he can get those towards the end of the race, but from the starting strategy, those on softs only lasted about 6 laps. As Chris goes fastest lap of the race with a 1:20.6. He is down in P14, unfortunately. So we are riding on board then with Tiach in P6, just half a second behind Jim on those softer tyres. Building momentum towards the best overtaking chance on the final straight, as the McLaren of ZNUF1 is now just under a second, or just over a second behind Pease. But it will be Stringy he has to watch out for, as he is now within DRS territory on the faster compound of tyres. We come around turn 16 then. Stringy opens his DRS. The McLaren of ZNUF1 stays left. Stringy pulls right. We jump on board now, and it is completed as they break into turn 1 as Willem van der Schaar retires from this race, and we see another VSC as we see the Alfa Romeo there stranded, and Chris on the exit of turn 11. Another spinner at turn 11 and another front wing needed for Chris. So Tiach then did pit on those softer compounded tyres, those mediums. 9 laps they have to last. They should be enough to take him through. So coming back up through the field, Nathan on debut in P12. Stinson, unfortunate spinner, is P11, looking to fight his way back up through the points. LPE and LH 8 and 9. Oh, as Chris retires from the session in the pit lane. Samuel in P8, his teammate, remember, in P1. Evil Hunter up into P7. Bowie in P6. Jim is P5. Benny is P4. Then we are up to your podium positions. It is the McLaren of ZNUF1 as VSC expires and we return to racing speed. Stringy pulling away then on those medium compound of tyres. 2 seconds is the gap he has to close to Total Pease. He has just 8 laps to do it. As we come back through the field now on to the battle for 7th place. Samuel just a bit too far back on those medium compound tyres. Will he make a late lunge into turn 1? but he has LH44 right behind him. We follow them now through the chicane of turns 1 and 2. Wider line there from the McLaren as they approach the exit of turn 3, and towards Repsol they go. And LH not making a move just yet, but all the time building momentum as we go back through the fields, as young Stinson there makes a move on LPE. So we're back on board with the McLaren car of ZNU F1. DRS is open as he approaches the harsh braking zone of turn 10. Remember, Stringy started on the harder compound, so was able to switch over to those medium tyres. ZNU F1 did the opposite, so he is on the harder tyres, and he pitted 3 laps earlier, remember. So as we build up towards the back straight, it is Stringy ahead of this McLaren car by 4 tenths, as we see here. DRS open for the McLaren. Stringy pulls to the inside. Is there enough room to go around the outside? Remember, the outside becomes the inside for 2, but he backs out of that move, thinking better of it. As we see the gaps closing up now through the field. Young Stinson trying to go around the outside of LH on the exit of turn 3. Oh, they touch wheels. Who's there through Repsol, and LH remains in front for now. Oh, but he goes wide on the exit. And that allows Stinson to come down the inside. Already 3 positions gained after spinning, battling for the lead with Pease. Samuel is his next target. So 8 laps to go. Sorry, 7 laps to go then. 2 seconds is the gap that Pease has over Stringy at the front of this race. Remember, Total Pease started in P5. Took the lead of this race when the safety car came out. Stringy is in P2. Pulling away now from the McLaren is Stringy, as we see for the first time. A few laps, he's out of DRS range. So go back down the field now as Stinson makes the move on Samuel. Remember, the outside down the inside for turn 2, back on the throttle, and he says thank you very much to the Ferrari driver. His will now be chasing that Williams of Evil Hunter. Remember, there are 3 cars run in WNR, 2 in the gold division and 1 in the silver division. In the silver division earlier this evening, Reina won for Williams, and the real DC was in at P2 for Renault. P3 was Gavilar in that racing point. So all of those points will be combined after the end of this race to update our championship standings. Our current drivers leader in the gold division, I. Fisher's out on the lap 2, so his 4-point gap to ZNU F1 in P2 could be about to go. Will we have a new championship leader in just 6 laps time? Final stretch now of this Grand Prix. Total Pease leads 2.3 seconds ahead of Stringy. How are those harder tyres looking as Jim makes a move on Benny Boy through the DRS zone, and Evil Hunter is through on Bowie. We ride on board now with Stinson approaching this battle. It's a very wide line from the Red Bull driver there as he comes out of turn 3, and the Bowie diving down the inside of Repsol, but he just didn't quite have the room as they come out now in towards the braking zone at turn 5. See that Red Bull there moving all the time just to try and find a gap after spinning, battling for the lead. So we're right on board now with Bowie, who will have DRS on Evil Hunter, but will be under pressure from young Stinson as they come out of the flying right-hander at turn 9. Stinson pulls to the right. Does he have the time? Yes, he does, but he leaves just enough for Bowie to there, but the Red Bull driver is through. further down the pack. Who have we got closing in on one another? LPE just 3/10 off that final point scoring position. Nathan dropping back a bit now, 4 seconds behind. You have to feel sorry for Energetics down in P14. Was in the lead of this race, but then had an accident with the Alpha after his pit stop, finding himself in the wall at turn 11. So 4 laps to go then, and Total P's leads this race, but the gap is now 1.7 seconds to Stringy in that Mercedes. Stringy starting on the harder compound tyres and able to make a one stop onto those mediums. As we see there on the timing side that Young Stinson is through into P6. He has a second to make on Benny for the top 5, but we're riding on board now with Total P's. Oh, it's Total P loses it at turn 1. Sorry, from P1 at turn 9. He hits the wall. Oh dear, P's. So Stringy is your new race leader. What is happening on turn 9? 4 or 5 drivers losing it throughout this race. As we see the Ferrari driver just dropping down positions. You can only feel for him. 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Oh, it's ever getting so bunched up. Is he going to be able to... Oh, can't help but feel for him there. So on board now with Stringy. Who is your race leader? The McLaren of ZNUF1 P2. The gap a second. Are those medium tyres starting to lose grip? 3 laps to go. Jim, what a brilliant drive this has been, up into P3. 11 places he's gained during this race. As we have another yellow flag in sector 2. As LH has gone off. Another driver again losing it at Repsol. How unfortunate. 13 and 14 both leading this race at one point, but having accidents as Young Stinson moves up into P4. He is definitely on a charge now. As we see the Williams trying to make a move on the Haas of Benny Boy. Remember his teammate Indigo losing it at turn 9 into the wall. The gap now 0.6 of a second as we have another yellow flag in sector 3. It looks like it was Tiach, but we shall see. 0.4 as Young Stinson makes a move on Jim and now is P3. 4 seconds the gap to P2. God, it's getting intense. Here we are then. The battle for the race victory. 0.3 between the McLaren and the Mercedes. Who will come out on top? As we'll ride on board then with Stringy on those medium compound tyres as he comes through turn 9. Here we are, Brandon in the ZNUF1 McLaren car just behind him. 3 seconds is the gap now between P2 and 3. Dutch driver definitely on a last gasp charge. Remember, he was our pole sitter today. Safety car caused problems for a strategy, and then he spun with P's trying to take the lead of the Grand Prix. So we ride on board then with the McLaren as he looks to make a move in the DRS zone towards turn 1. Young Stinson the fastest lap of the race. Just not enough for the McLaren to make a move. Lap 32 of 33 in what's been an enthralling edition of WNR here for RRC. Stringy looking to defend from ZNUF1 as they come around, as Pease pits again and retires from this session. So Pease, after spinning from the lead, now retires in the pit lane. we have got 14 cars left running. And here are the two fighting for that top step on the podium. But look at young Stinson, a man on a charge. Already cut that gap to just 1.6 seconds. Will he get close enough on the last lap to make a move? We shall see. As they come around into sector 3, the gap 4 tenths between Stringy and ZNU. The gap behind ZNFU 1.2, but it doesn't look like Stinson will have DRS. Where do these three finish as we ride on board with Stringy in the helicopter cam? The gap between Stinson and Jim now just over 2 and 8 seconds. Lap 33 of 33 of what has been a very, very enthralling Spanish Grand Prix here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. There is a Ferrari in the wall. Looks like that could have been Total P's. Oh, as the McLaren goes a little bit wider, Repsol. That's Red Bull now all over the back of his gearbox. What a battle we have got on our hands for the race victory. Lap 33 of 33. Just over half a lap to go. Your pole sitter in P3. Your pole sitter from last week in P2. And Stringy. Oh, as young Stinson loses it a little bit there. How do they take sector 3? This is all or nothing now. Will they make it around safely? As we see, we come around now. 3 corners left through the chicane at 14. And oh, as Brandon touches the back of Stringy there. Who's got the best traction? Stringy B comes across the line to take victory here in Catalunya. Wow, what a race. Just 4 tenths of a second separates our top 3 cars. How close can it get? Jim, what a brilliant drive. Started P14, finishes P4. Bowie, 19 laps on those things. What a result for Racing Points today. 5 and 6 here, and P3 in the silver division. Benny Boy finishes P7. Samuel is P8. Evil Hunter is 9. Nathan on debut secures a point for Red Bull. TH is 11. LH is 12. And Energetics, our last remaining runner. He will be ruining this race after leading. He was in an entangle with an Alfa Romeo on turn 11. You can't help but feel for him. So we have a new championship leader as we head into next week. ZNU F1 was, oh, as we see Energetics there spinning out of turn 16. Our last runner comes across the line now as we complete the Spanish Grand Prix here for DAR RC WNR Gold Division. But as I was saying before we watched Energetics spin, we have a new leader in the Drivers' Championship. It was Fisher's, but he crashed out on just the second lap. It is now the McLaren driver that you see there in P2. ZNU F1 takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship by 14 points. Wow, what a race. Stringy with the strategy after qualifying on those harder tyres. One stopping for the mediums. He then takes the top step, and fair shout out to young Stinson there in P3. After starting on pole position, his strategy got ruined by the safety car. He had to pit again, went into a spin while vying for the lead with Total P's, but he managed to claw his way back into P3. So there you have it. That is WNR finished for this week. We hope you have enjoyed watching with us. I will be back for the gold and silver FNRs with RRC. Wow. So thank you very much to all of you that joined us today. As I said, we do not race on Thursdays, but we will be live again on Friday for FNR, where our gold division will be commentated on by Ninja Penguino, and I will be commentating on the silver. So thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next